very first time. Hello, everyone. Okay, as you could see, it's raining in Florida. And I'm at my party, and I'm running a little bit behind because of the rain. And so I'm going to walk you around the party now, and then in a few minutes, I'm going to read from the book as planned. But let me show you around my party. How do I flip this camera? Okay, do it this way. Okay, check it out. Say hi, everybody. Look at all this food. Look at all these people. Reggie, say hi.
What's up?
Say hi. We're live online. Yeah. Here's me playing with some music. These are my friends.
They follow you the whole time.
We're going live.
Are you streaming?
Yes, I think so.
You're starting?
In a few minutes. In a few minutes. And then we got this here. Got non-alcoholic, alcoholic. We got wine. Hi. Oh yeah, let's come over here. Yes. Hello. Hi.
Pleasure to meet you, Carrie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Good.
Gary has a restaurant here too, right?
Yes, Seminole Reef Grill.
Seminole Reef Grill.
And, well, a part of it. I'm the artist.
Nice.
So all my artists inside there.
Oh,
He has his own
congratulations.
liquor company too.
Ooh, really?
Murals and
How
paintings and
fun.
everything, yes.
Well, I have to get your card. We should
Yes,
do something.
I saw your really like
Yeah, that's how
check it out.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
he's
so
going to
much.
Bali.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we are experts.
You are.
I know this.
We are experts. I'm gonna walk around and then I'm gonna do the reading in a few minutes, and then I'm gonna shut this out so I can have one.
Yes, girl.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read. Can we do it inside? Just come in for a few minutes. Okay, we're gonna go inside. Okay, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and do the reading and. I'm gonna do the reading in like 3 minutes. So we're gonna do it inside so it's nice and cool, and then I'm gonna turn this off and have a drink and enjoy it. Do you have wine? Did you finish the champagne? It's in the fridge. I'm going to help you. Let me just put this down. Okay, let's see. Should I put it here? I'm going to read in here. Okay. No. Let's see. How's that? I think it's just higher. Hello. You want a Bible, Carla? Excellent. Do you want a paperback or hardback? There's one on the other side. Hold on, I'll get that. So cute. And I'm going to actually move over in front of this. Yes? I think you get them away. Yeah. Okay, let me. That looks good. Nice. Oh gosh. My hair is so long. Oh, that's
Yeah, this place is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I just logged on now. It's a little bit late. I'm sorry, but I'm on now. I'm getting ready to read if you want to get in. Yes. Let me just. Is everybody inside? Come in.
I'm sorry.
Come in. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Quiet.
Quiet.
We can all get nice and close.
Yes, come in. Yes.
Yeah, there's chairs. She's a great neighbor. She's 77-year-old British Scot.
Ah, okay, they're on. Yay. I've never gone live before. Oh, there's three people.
So many excited to say
We're all there.
That's right, we're all here.
Hey guys, I'm gonna read now. You're not late. You're not late at all. Come on in, just enjoy. Yeah.
It's so quiet. We're all excited. I love everything. I love the covers, Samantha.
Thank you. You know, I love this cover so much, and I told him before, the artist that I hired to do this, I couldn't believe it. He said, just tell me 3 words. And I said, the sun's Malibu. And that was, and he came up and he gave me 10 different things to pick from, but the first one, and I just loved it. And I love how it it has ascension, which is like what happened in the book. So palm trees, it's like balloons or something. I love it. Okay, so just before I read from my book, I just wanted to say thank you to every single one of you that is in this room tonight. I'm over the moon with love and support, and I thank you all so much, every single one of you, for coming. It's crazy weather, and and I want to especially thank Kelly, the caterer, for this amazing food that she did. Yeah. And I want to thank Jeremy for letting me use this beautiful space, and everybody who came to help me today, and Ivan for setting up the bar, Coach Ferguson, you're here, so good. And without gushing, I just wanted to say a few words about why did I write this book, and what's the point of this. And I wrote this story because before I went to treatment, I imagined it the way many people in America do, as a failure and as something to be ashamed of. And when I got there, on my way there, I was ashamed and I was afraid and I was so terrified of everything that was going to happen. And I had no idea what to expect. And I had no idea that it would open up a portal into everything beautiful that has happened in my life today. And so knowing that I wasn't the only one being afraid of saying, I want to do something different, and saying I need help, and asking for what I need, and going somewhere scary, and listening to people who I didn't know tell me what to do. That is really hard. If any of you met me, that's hard. But every day I did new things, different feather. And I went to treatment for, I was for substance abuse and severe depression. And not every person that goes to treatment is an alcoholic or a lifetime addict. And either way, whatever you are, go and find out and take care of yourself. And that is why I wrote this book, to, show that it's not as horrible as it seems, that it is helpful, that there is moments of light, and that you can turn your life around without giving up anything. And so now I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to read. I thought about what I would read for many, many days. And I asked the guy that works with me, I should thank him too, Rodney. He helped me get this book out. He helped me make this come true. And I asked him, and he said, you should read Playmates and Playgrounds. And that's one of the chapters right in the middle of the book. And I was like, are you joking? I'm not reading that one. But I say that only because I looked through every single one, and I try to imagine, what would be the best thing. But to be honest, the best thing is just to start at the beginning and to tell you what that was like. And then hopefully you want to keep reading and continue on the journey, because it does get bright and it does get exciting. And there are lots of moments of hilarity. There's romance, there's tragedy, and there's redemption, and there's perseverance, and there's hope, and there's inspiration. And I poured my heart into this book, and I poured my heart into healing myself. And that is what I'm here to share with you today. Okay. Okay, and I have never done this. I have read out loud. Obviously, I went to high school, but I have never done this before. So, okay. And then for those of you who do buy this book, this is a story from my voice about the moment that I hit rock bottom. It's kind of dark, but it's also very interesting. And I have to admit, I'm a really good storyteller, so it's good to listen to. I like it. And it's it's dark and stormy like me, but then there's also moments of sunshine. All right, so chapter 1, the healing movement begins. I decided to go to rehab in California on my own. No one suggested it or knew I was considering it. I only told 3 people. I flew there alone, I was picked up alone, and I cried in the car watching the ocean fly by my window alone. I was ashamed, and at the same time, a part of me was very curious about what would happen next. Would this help me? Would I leave after a few days or stick it out? Would I crumble in my attempts to save myself? How long would it take to make a real change in me? I didn't know who I was or what I could do on my own, and I went to discover the answer in myself. I wanted to uncover my strength and crawl until I could walk. I knew I needed to dig deep while no one was watching me with expectations, to see for myself first what I was made of, to see for myself if I was right all along and that inside of me was a magical soul in this body, or if the world was right and I was meant to be abandoned. I felt scared and empowered simultaneously, and I didn't tell anyone where I was going in case I failed. I didn't know which side I'd end up on. I really didn't. And I will never forget the tiny afro-haired woman who picked me up. I can see her tiny hands clutching the Escalade's enameled wheel at 10 and 2, perfectly juxtaposing. She leaned forward and sat on a pillow, looking like she would fly through the windshield at any moment. She wore an Argyle sweater, jeans, and sneakers. She looked together. Her energy was calming. I was shocked when I learned later that she was in recovery. She's so cute, though, I thought. As we drove down the Pacific Coast Highway, I was silent. I watched the blue sky out the window and felt the rumble of concrete beneath us. I got choked up listening to the women singing passionately on the radio. I tried to stifle my tears as I always had, and I had been taught and forced to do. But the woman driving immediately redirected me with the most empathic tone I'd ever felt and said, "Oh no, honey, you let it out. You let it all out." I looked at her confused, and she said again in the southern accent I was used to, "Go on, girl, cry your eyes out. That's the best thing you can do right now." So I did. I cried my eyes out, and it felt good and weird, but mostly good. And she was right. I did feel better. It was the first of many big fat cries of relief that turned into relief and insight. This is how we bring light to darkness, one of the many ways with our tears. The song I was listening to was Hello by Adele. I had never heard it before, and the woman driving was shocked. It had recently been released and was being played constantly. At first, I did think of my ex-husband. It's a love song, and I cried thinking of how I had let us down, how he had let us down, and how the drugs had kept us down. But then, as I saw my reflection in the window and remembered this trip to Malibu was about me, I turned that perspective around. I listened to the words from my adult self's eyes as though I was talking to the child within me. And for the very first time, I saw myself as the love of my own life, the person I'm here to love and serve first. Go listen to that song and imagine that the words are for you and not a lover, and let the words speak to yourself as a child or young adult. Listen to her beautiful words and haunting voice from that perspective, and imagine you're embarking on a healing journey to go back and save the little person you were. Well, I did that about 47,000 times over the next months. It still breaks me down to hear that song, but now I cry tears of pride for how far I have come. Hello from the other side. I am not in California dreaming of who we used to be anymore. I have become all I wanted to be. We arrived at the rehab center, and I went through the check-in process alone, where they teased me for arriving sober. Apparently, most patients roll in inebriated, often dragged in by loved ones, usually incoherent and in desperate need of the 3-day detox process. Not me. I had had enough. I told them that I smoked a lot of weed the last 2 days, and they smiled at each other silently and looked at me with pity. They searched my bags and found one hidden pill that I'd forgotten about. I arrived as ready as anyone could be. My packing was impeccable, and I filled my suitcase with neatly organized stacks of outfits for any occasion. I left no need to chance. I was brought to my room upstairs that faced the ocean, and I read the intake packet sitting on my bed. And after unpacking, I went to the office and asked if I could go straight to group sessions and skip the 3-day pause. I didn't need time to sleep it off, and I didn't need any more TV. Thankfully, they let me jump in. Here is where the transitional time of being in and out of the old and new began. It was the death and rebirth of an entire human, which is no small feat. Moment to moment, I went from where I was in my past to I have no fucking idea what is next. A challenge for a plan everything, control the details girl like me. I was listening to strangers and taking advice for my every move. I was opening up to ideas, lessons, and faith, and all of it was new. I started to get lucky from the moment I chose myself and got on that plane to LAX. The house I was in for the first 32 days was a co-ed house where I was meant to have a female roommate. It had 3 bedrooms to host 6 people. Out of the 32 days I was there, only 7 of them were shared. Thank God. One woman couldn't make it through the first 24 hours, and another wanted to stay, but her insurance only afforded her 1 week. So it was 4 guys and me all day, every day, and you would think that would be a disaster, but it wasn't. Those men were like brothers to me, and they are remembered fondly for the platonic vibe that we shared. It was the best thing I could have experienced. They didn't hit on me, they honored me. They told me to my face what I needed to hear, even when it was hard. When we weren't in sessions together, we watched football and dumb TV shows, and we smoked cigarettes at every single break. They were brave and kind and vulnerable and compassionate men like I'd never met before. For a 40-year-old woman who'd been brutally hurt by virtually every man she trusted, it was a gift of massive proportion. I'm going to skip over that part. Do you guys want me to keep going, or do you want me to finish here?
You finish where you're comfortable because it's your book.
I know.
It sounds amazing.
But like, it's just one more page, but I kind of want to finish, but I don't want to bore you guys.
No, I want you to finish it.
Okay. Each morning I would climb out of bed moments before the staff was due to come in and rouse us and head to the porch for a silent ocean view. I was lying awake all night in there, recovering from the nightmares I had every night. After a cup of hot cocoa was made, I'd snuggle into my corner of the sofa for our morning check-in. We would go over the schedule for the day and share how we were feeling with each other and read from the inspirational books written for people in our place. And winking. There were fun times in the midst of our work. The staff was always around to lean on, and they did their best to bring us lightness and solutions efficiently and quickly. The first 30 days were a series of repetitive rituals designed to align us with our highest selves and support us through our personal restorations. Some things were lighter, like the morning groups. Others were heavier and took some time to digest and understand. My first experience with breathworks was slightly amusing and surprisingly powerful. I had a habit back then of saying no to everything the first time I was asked. I was skeptical, and I did not want to try new things I didn't understand. Who is that? Okay. That's okay. There was no curiosity, no personal exploration, which are foundational pillars to a soul-fulfilling life, a habit I started to break when it was pointed out to me. I had searched for faith my entire life without success, and I was jaded. I was incapable of believing in, well, anything, including myself. I was an injured animal with trapped experiences inside that needed to get out. Everything that happens to us, good or bad, has to be processed by the body. Everything is made of energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It cannot be bypassed. It can only be processed and released and transmuted from dark to light, but it cannot be ignored into dissipation. Nothing that happens to us lives on its own. Every bit of it must go through us, which is the truth. Time does not heal all wounds. Attention, compassion, and love do. Clapping when you see something you like is your body processing joy. Hooting and hollering after a touchdown is your body processing joy. Dancing and singing at a wedding or a birthday is your body processing joy. Smiles and laughs and whistles and snaps and fist pumping. High fives. All of this is light emoting itself out of your body and through you so you can feel it and then let it go. When left, we shake, we breathe heavily, and then we lay down and don't get up for a while. This is how it's been done in the body before Western culture stamped out the natural flow of healing and expression. Like many of you, I did not know how to allow this, as I had been taught to stifle and cover my emotions. I'll give you something to cry about if you don't stop that right now. I learned young that I would get smacked, and it would shock me, and it would hurt. And I would also be treated like a bad little girl with withering looks and neglected emotionally for days if I didn't do as I was told the first time. I learned to clench my jaw shut, cross my arms across my chest, and reply, capisce, which means understood in Italian, or so I was told. I rebelled against this occasionally over the years with the same result, physical violence across my face, followed by a weekend of manual labor to earn my way back into good graces. I was terrified to express myself as I was guilted, shamed, or banished when I had any feelings of discontent. I was emotionally blackmailed. My body was assaulted in various ways over my life, some at my own hand, and some at the lot of others. My point is that I had a lot of trapped darkness inside me that needed to get out. So when they first offered me breathworks, I was clueless and said no, even though it was exactly what I needed. I'd been learning nothing new the last 20 years, and my American life was geared towards consumption and not letting go. I had no idea about releasing. I didn't want to try it, and it was scheduled at the same time as my therapy, which was a relief. The boys loved it, but I didn't understand why. I didn't know it was like a month's worth of group therapy in 1 hour without talking or listening. It was very effective and very efficient. During the second week, I walked through the room at the end of the session. They were all quietly lying around, scattered, cozy under blankets with powerful music playing that I liked, filling the entire room. It looked like a musically induced nap. Changing my mind, I thought, ooh, this looks nice. I can do this. I didn't know that this scene I witnessed was like watching the end of an amusement park ride. You know, like when it's down, you're like, oh, I'll do that. I was like, so I signed up for the next session. I thought I knew I was in for, but I was mistaken. I went in blind to the potential outcome, and maybe they planned it that way, or maybe they had no idea how truly clueless I was, but we all found out. So a breathworks teacher explains it perfectly in her online article. Breathwork is the active form of consciously working your breath to bypass the mind and enter a different state of awareness. This practice gives the brain's executive functioning something to focus on so you can bypass the mental level of consciousness and drop into a deeper state of consciousness where healing, spirit, and love reside. I followed the instructions to a T and went deep into my darkness. I was in the center of my soul. I was not inside my body anymore. I had no directions on what to do in there or why I was even in there of my soul. It was like wading through a dense, muddy creek. I panicked from the intensity of how fast and far my pain went beyond me, and I ran back into my body. I came out of the trance dripping in anger, spewing it, embodying it, choking on it. I needed to feel it. I needed to let it out. I needed to process my past. I still had no idea what I was meant to do at that moment with all these feelings. I had no idea for 3 days. All I knew was that this portal had been open and I was fucking pissed. Over and over, I asked, why? And no one could explain. Why would we do that? Why would you put me into this place of pain on purpose? I cried and